Hello, good evening, good afternoon, where you are at on this afternoon, or wherever you may be. I'm about to cut on the light. Oops, wrong light. Okay, let me get closer. Oh, I realized how dark it was. Whoa. Okay. Hello. Um, I'm going to show you something different. This time we're going to study something different about earlier pictures about the Bible. One of the two characters we're going to talk about is Nimrod and his family. So let's start with the first video of Semiramis. Semiramis, if I said that right. Excuse me if I didn't. And who is this person? This describer Semiramis, Noah's granddaughter, became pregnant in engaging and adulterous affair while married to Nimrod. Around the same time, Nimrod dies a violent, ultimately death in the effort to retain power and to hide their misdeeds. Semiramis makes a much audacious claim. She publicly declared that upon Nimrod's death, he had been resurrected as the god of the sun and the sun god. Nimrod used the sun rays to miraculously inseminate Semiramis with a child. This child was considered was divinely conceived. The child name was Tammuz, Tammuz, which claimed was the reincarnated of Nimrod. Thus Nimrod was Semiramis was both Nimrod's wife and mother. And the scattering occurs at the Tower of Babel. And this is pretty much their connection. But here's a short story of it.
Well, hello friends, it's Jerry Robinson here from TrueRichesRadio.com. Just wanted to do another really brief video this morning and share with you something I just ran across. I've been doing a lot of research, as many of you know, into the origins of America, specifically the American Revolution, and specifically its connection to ancient Greece and ancient Rome, but also even to ancient Egypt and also to ancient Babylon. So this has been a passion of mine for many, many years. I've been studying it for a long time, and I like to share things that I learned along the way. And I was just on this website, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society, and the domain is cmohs.org, and you can check out this website yourself. But I wanted to show you something pretty interesting that I saw, and that specifically was the medals. And in fact, if you click on the link here that says medal and go to design, you will see the different medals of honor that are awarded by different institutions here in the United States: the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Coast Guard. And what is interesting about these medals of honor is the fact that each one of them has an ancient goddess associated with them. This is not uncommon, of course. We do see this a lot in the symbolism of America. A lot of the revival of the Greco-Roman goddesses are certainly, that's certainly something that we see. But when you're on this page, when you click on the medal link and then you click on the design, you can go through each one of these, and you can click, for example, right here on the goddess and learn more about her. And in this case, the Army Congressional Medal of Honor has the goddess Minerva, who is the helmeted goddess of wisdom and war. And that's interesting. Clearly, if we click on the Navy, we'll see that there's another goddess here. This is, in fact, the same goddess, the Roman goddess of wisdom and war, Minerva. But then when we get to the Air Force Medal of Honor, it's really interesting. This is why I really wanted to make this quick video, was to show you this particular passage about this particular medal. And when you click on, this clearly looks like the Statue of Liberty here, when we click on it, it takes us to a little brief description that says Lady Liberty. But notice what it says. It says the Statue of Liberty is centered in the Air Force design. In addition to standing for liberty, she is derived from the imagery of Queen Semiramis of Babylon, who is famed for her beauty, strength, and wisdom. Well, I think this is very interesting because up until this point, most of the research that I have done on the Statue of Liberty finds that it's derived from Libertas, which was the ancient Roman goddess of liberty. She had her own temple on Capitoline Hill back in ancient Rome. But this is one of the first, not the first time, but one of the very first times that I've seen the Statue of Liberty, the goddess here, actually connected all the way back to Babylon, Queen Semiramis. So the Air Force Congressional Medal of Honor with the image of the Statue of Liberty derived from the imagery of Semiramis of ancient Babylon. Just another interesting update amid the research that I'm doing here, and I thought you might enjoy. God bless you, my friends, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, if you want to tune in to our weekly live online teaching series, simply go to truerichesradio.com and click on the Reserve Your Seat button right here at the very top, or here at the very top of.
Very interesting about the medal that's present today. And someone has another video give you different versions of his family. See, this looked like it was a video.
Bible study on YouTube. I'm your host, LJ Day, and in this episode we're going to look at the truth about Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. Many people claim that Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz are the pagan trinity. Nimrod is the sun god. His wife was Semiramis, and their son was Tammuz. There are many websites and YouTube videos dedicated to proving this story. However, the fact is, this story is simply made up. The whole thing comes from the fictional work The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. Whenever you see a claim regarding these three people, you can almost guarantee that the source is either the Two Babylons, or it will be a source
Fair use.
that used the Two Babylons as its main source. The truth. The story of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz is not in the slightest bit biblical. The Bible never refers to these three people together. Nimrod is mentioned just 4 times, Tammuz once, and Semiramis not even 1 time. Nimrod is never referenced as having a wife or a child. Further to that, there is not one single historical writing, including the Talmud or the writings of Josephus, that places these three people together. Before Alexander Hislop's book, which was written in the 1850s AD, that's less than 175 years ago. Hislop's claims are fanciful and catch the attention of those with itchy ears. However, his claims are historically, biblically, and factually incorrect. So the question must be asked, a question that is vitally important to the understanding of this theory. If nobody before Alexander Hislop had ever written about Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz together, how did he come up with the theory in the first place? The answer to this question is indeed much simpler than the way in which Alexander Hislop went about drawing his conclusions. Through assumption, comparative theology, the use of incorrect and inaccurate historical information, association, misrepresentation, and a whole heap of amalgamating together numerous and unrelated ancient myths and stories based on similarities, cherry-picking the pieces of information while simply ignoring others or imposing any one of any combination of the aforementioned. Alexander Hislop creates this story himself, a story that is never told or known by anyone before him. Hislop used historically incorrect information of Eusebius, Diodorus Siculus, and Ctesias of Cnidus in particular in his work, and so came to conclusions that were simply shown incorrect when new historical data was found. He links people together through nothing more than association in order to make one person seem like they are another. Nimrod and Ninus are just one example where he asserts that Ninus was simply another name for Nimrod. It must be stated there is no historical evidence that Semiramis lived at all, let alone at the time of Nimrod. She is almost certainly the amalgamation of historical figures and Greek goddesses created by classical Greek writers. Hislop even dismissed parts of the Bible and changed their meanings in order to force his understanding into it. There are many other myths from Grecian to Egyptian to Babylonian and Assyrian that Hislop simply glues together to form his story. The simple fact is, the story has no historical basis, and when studied in full, is shown completely fictional. Thank you very much. It was Tammuz.
I guess that's one their versions of it. Some people's version. But so how does it the birth of Tammuz ties into Christmas? Let's check this video out. If it's a video. Christmas, the birth of Tammuz, is the birth of Tammuz. And this shows you the symbology of Tammuz. Trace back to, and as the scripture goes with it, then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, how have you seen this, O son of man? You will see still greater abominations than this. Ezekiel 8, chapter 8, verse 14 and 15. And this is a picture of Nimrod. This is a picture of Nick, Saint Nick. Then they go with scriptures that said, For the custom of the peoples are vanity. A tree from the forest is cut down and worked on an axe by the hands of the craftsman. Jeremiah 10 and 3. And did he not do what was right in the eyes of the Lord his God? He sacrificed him in offerings on the high places and on in the hills under every green tree. 2 Kings chapter 16, 2 and 4. Green trees. Interesting. You will burn with lust among the oaks, every other green tree. Slaughter your children in the valleys under the cliffs of the rocks. Isaiah 57 and 5. One of Noah's greatest grandson was called Nimrod. Nimrod was a great leader. He was the first empire builder of Babel, Levitica, and was the ruler of when known in the world. His wife, history says, was named Semiramis, and she was a very great queen. Satan was working to counterfeit God's plan of salvation. When Nimrod died, the people said he was a god. Semiramis told them that he was indeed a sun god. Sun worship began here, and his spirit was a living, dwelling in the sun. And this chapter is Genesis 10 and 6. Here are a few examples pertaining 1 Kings 14:23, 2 Kings 17 verses 10, 2 Chronicles 28 and 4, Deuteronomy 12 and 2, Jeremiah 2 and 20, Jeremiah 3 and 6, 3:13, 17 and 2, Ezekiel 6 and 13, 20 and 28, and 20 and 47. Traditions of men. And this is where they were worshiping. Here they show you the pictures. If I can show you closer, let me see if I can bring it closer. They show you the Christmas tree here. They had the carving of some type of tree here, and they have like a high priestess right here. This is what they did in Europe, but the Yule log and the Christmas tree. The Yule log often burned on Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve as families gathered around warm before they go into bed and let the log embers die. In the morning, excitement and anticipation. The kids jumped out of their beds to see the decorated evergreen tree surrounded by gifts in their room, and log and burned that night. Before it represents the death of Nimrod, and the Christmas tree was set up, decorated, that symbolism his rebirth incarnated through his son Tammuz. And you should not worship the Lord your God in that way. Deuteronomy 12:4. You must not worship the Lord your God the way in the other nations worship their gods, for they perform for their gods every detestable act that the Lord hates. Deuteronomy 12:31. And this is the symbolicism of the Yule. Blessed Yule. It's like it come out of Europe. This one come out of Europe. It's in Catholicism. The Christmas tree is a symbol of Tammuz, the spirit of Nimrod, which comes back to life again. The common image of the mother holding the child is not only pervasive in Catholicism, it also found throughout nearly every ancient culture throughout history. The green tree represents the incarnated son of Tammuz, reanimated by the spirit of Nimrod. Santa Claus is just another name for him. Many of these sun gods and many of these cultures around the world can be traced back in the ancient Babylon. All the gods were associated with sun worship. And let's see if I can bring this closer. So I'm going to bring this a little closer to show you. So see. Okay, this is what it looked like. These are the symbolism during the time of the Egyptians. This is the Catholicism, the meaning of Christmas, the birth of the Roman Catholic sun god, Tammuz. But it's a different perspective. This gives more. And then you see how the Pope kisses the baby. Tammuz. This is Tammuz throughout the Catholic Church. And the question is asked, do you believe you can use pagan practices as a means of worshiping God? I would say no. But unfortunately, the church does it. Some churches do it when they celebrate what their version of baby Jesus is. This is the baby Jesus across the world. It's not the baby Jesus that you're thinking. It's really Tammuz. And here's more I'll give you a couple versions of it. But that gives you an idea who Nimrod, Tammuz, were they real? And here's another one of the Easter. The holiday's coming up. The Easter eggs, the origins of it. Oh, wait a minute. Is any video here? Okay. The Holy Greek is, but don't have a video on it. Sorry about that. But all this is connected. I can show you a short video of it. Hopefully this is a short video. A couple short videos about Nimrod, Tammuz, the origins of the worship. There's a little small writing of it. See if there's a video of it. Wow, somebody wrote a whole.
What are the origins of Easter? Do we find it within our Father's Word, or do we find it within pagan worship? Let's find out. Hey, this is Pastor Randy. For today I want to talk about the origins of Easter. I want to talk about whether or not we find this day within Scripture or whether we find this day within pagan worship. And I want to remove the suspense. We don't find this day within Scripture. We find it within pagan worship through antiquity. Matter of fact, it goes back thousands of years, really. But today we're going to focus on the word Easter and the origins of Easter itself. And I want to read three different sources. The first one is from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia. Very, very reputable source, by the way. This is not a fringe reference. This is very reputable, recognized by most Bible believers. And here's what it says about the origins of Easter. It says the English word, and again this is Easter, the word, comes from the Anglo-Saxon Esther, or Estera, a Teutonic goddess to whom sacrifice was offered in April, so the name was transferred to the Paschal Feast. Now the word Paschal here refers to the Passover, not to the Easter. So we see here that Easter replaced Passover. Now we know historically and scripturally that the only day the apostles and the Messiah observed in the New Testament was the Passover. Never once do we find Easter. I know it's in the King James. Believe me, it's not in the Greek. It's not in the New Testament scriptures. It's simply missing from antiquity. So when did the church adopt the Easter celebration? Well, let's find out. I'm going to read another source here. This is from the New Unger's Bible Dictionary, again, a very reputable source. It says the word Easter is of Saxon origin. It says that Estra, the goddess of spring, in whose honor sacrifices were offered about Passover time each year, by the 8th century Anglo-Saxons had adopted the name to designate the celebration of Christ's resurrection. So we see here, when this transition occurred, it occurred in the 8th century, hundreds of years after Yahshua had come and gone. He was resurrected. Hundreds of years after this point did the church adopt Easter in its liturgy. And we see here that it adopted it from the Anglo-Saxons, from pagan worship. Well, I want to read one more reference. This is from the Nelson's Illustrated Bible Dictionary. And here's what it says about Easter. It says Easter was originally a pagan festival honoring Oster, a Teutonic Germanic goddess of light and spring, at the time of the vernal equinox, a day in the spring when the sun crosses the equator and the day and night are of equal length. Sacrifices were offered in her honor. As early as the 8th century, the name was used to designate the annual Christian celebration of the resurrection of Messiah. So we see here, again, when this transition occurred, it was the 8th century. Yes, it's just amazing to me. If you look at history, if you look at the Bible, what you come up with, and there's no denying the pagan origins of Easter. Again, this is not in the Bible. The Messiah and his apostles, they never observed this day, and even worse yet, according to all these references, and believe me, there's many, many more, confirming the origins of Easter. This came from the Anglo-Saxon pagan worship, and we find that it occurred somewhere around the 8th century. So very, very important. As a believer, and this is so important. So listen to this. This is so important. As a believer, it's critical that we worship our Father in heaven as He defines within His Word. Because when we worship another way, Yahweh says He has no honor for that. He has no respect for that, because He wants us to worship as He defines within His Word. Not as our church may say worship is, not as our pastor or our minister may say worship is. No, we need to ignore all of that and look at Scripture and how He defines worship. And what we find scripturally, again, is that they observed the Passover, the feast days, along with the Sabbath, and not this day called Easter, which took 800 years, really, for the church to adopt and bring into its liturgy. Well, I pray that this has been a blessing to you. I pray that you've learned something today. I pray that you understand how important it is to worship our Father in heaven in spirit and truth, as we find in the Word. When we worship Yahweh in paganism, listen, He has no regard for that. We know in Jeremiah 10, He says, learn not the way of the heathen. As believers, we're to take that to heart. We're not to learn paganism as we find through antiquity. We are to worship Yahweh as He defines within His Word. Well, I pray that this program has been a blessing.
Well, that's pretty much clear right there. It gives you different origins of Christmas. And how is it all tied into Christmas, Easter, where the origins of it come from, and it, the church still do it. How it is all connected, even how Valentine's Day and different things like that.
starting at the first verse. But thou, O Father Yahweh, art gracious and true, long-suffering and in mercy ordering all things. For if we sin, we are thine, knowing thy power, but we will not sin, knowing that we are counted thine. For to know thee is perfect righteousness, yea, to know thy power is the root of immortality. For neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us, nor an image spotted with diverse colors, the painter's fruitless labor. The sight whereof enticeth fools to lust after it, and so they desire the form of a dead image that hath no breath. Both they that make them, they that desire them, and they that worship them, are lovers of evil things, and are worthy to have such things to trust upon. For the potter, tempering soft earth, fashioneth every vessel with much labor for our service. Yea, of the same clay he maketh both vessels that can serve for clean uses, and likewise also all such as serve to the contrary. But what is the use of either sort? The potter himself is the judge. In employing his labors lewdly, he maketh a vain god of the same clay, even he which a little before was made of earth himself, in a little while after returneth to the same. Out when his life, which was lent to him, shall be demanded. Notwithstanding his care is not that he shall have much labor, nor that his life is short, but striveth to excel goldsmiths and silversmiths, and endeavoreth to do like the workers in brass, and counteth it his glory, to make counterfeit things. His heart is ashes, his hope is more vile than earth, and his life of less value than clay. For as much as he knew not his maker, and him that inspired into him an active soul and breathed in a living spirit, but they counted our life a pastime, and our time here a market for gain. For, say they, we must be getting every way, though it be by evil means. For this man that of earthly matter maketh brittle vessels, engraven images, knoweth himself to offend above all others. And all the enemies of thy people that hold them in subjection are most foolish and are most miserable than very babes. For they counteth all the idols of the heathen to be gods, which neither have use of eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. And as for their feet, they are slow to go. For man made them, and he that borrowed his own spirit fashioned them. But no man can make a god like unto himself. For being mortal, he worketh a dead thing with wicked hands. For he himself is better than the things which he worshipeth. Whereas he lived once, but they never. Yea, they worship those beasts also that are most hateful. For being compared together, some are worse than others. Neither are they beautiful, so much as they to be desired in respect of beasts, but they went without the praise of Father Yahweh and his blessing. Peace be unto you, brothers and sisters. Peace be unto you. The name of tonight's message is Happy Birthday, Nimrod. Happy birthday, Nimrod. Now, don't get this thing twisted. I'm not saying happy birthday, Nimrod, because I mean to wish happy birthday to Nimrod. I'm saying happy birthday, Nimrod, because somebody needs to tell you the truth about what you're doing today. That's right. We've been covering Nimrod, we've been covering paganism, we've been covering idolatry in the church up to this point right here. Now, many of you just got up, went and knelt under your tree, got your kids up under the tree, opening presents, and what you don't know, and some of you probably actually do know, but you don't care. You just got done participating in a pagan ritual and ceremony that started before the person you even think is the Messiah was born. Tree worship. That's paganism, that's idolatry. But there's nobody better to tell you about paganism and idolatry than the Gentiles. So check this out.
In the northern hemisphere during late December, the days are at their shortest lengths and the nights are at their longest. For those of the pagan world, this has always been the greatest time of the year to celebrate and practice the works of darkness. The pagan calendar identifies this period as the winter solstice. It was during the pre-Christian midwinter pagan celebrations of Scandinavia's Norsemen where today's Christmas traditions began. As a means of honoring the pagan sex and fertility god Yule, a 12-day celebration during the month of December was inaugurated. A large single log considered to be a phallic idol was lit on fire and kept burning for 12 days. Animal or human sacrifices were offered in the fire on each of those days. Wild, delirious reveling accompanied the daily sacrifices as drunken participants defiantly strove to make contact with spirits.
Idols and fallen deities, that's where this stuff comes from. That's why your kids get so crazy during this time. The schools juice your children up more to come home and make sure that you participate in this annual sacrifice of the Saturnalia in the winter solstice, more so than they learn about math, how to read, any of that stuff. But they gonna make sure that they send little pictures of your kids home on trees. They gonna send them home and they gonna make them make sure that they got you thinking something's wrong with you if you don't have a tree up in your house. Keep listening.
In pre-Christian Rome, celebrants were paying homage to their own gods during the winter solstice. Witchcraft traditions hold that a number of pagan gods were given birth during this period, including Dionysus, Attis, and Baal, chief male god of fertility and licentiousness. Another pagan god from Persia, identified as Mithra, was said to have been born specifically on December 25th. Mithra was the god of the unconquerable sun, the god of the light between heaven and earth, worshipped at that time by an influential Roman cult. His birth symbolized an end to the long nights and a return to the dominance of the sun. During the month-long winter solstice celebration, courts in Rome were closed. Any and all crimes were allowed. Homosexuality, cross-dressing, and uncontrolled debauchery reigned supreme. Rome's order was turned upside down. Even children were allowed to join in the drunken orgies as part of the Juvenalia celebration. By 270 AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian had made it official, setting aside a 7-day period from December the 17th through the 24th, culminating in an exchange of gifts on December the 25th.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, starting at the first verse. Hear ye the word which Father Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus says Father Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with an axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as a palm tree, but do not speak. They must needs to be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
Every winter, from at least the 2nd century BC, and likely many centuries before then, the ancient Romans held a major festival called the Saturnalia. During this celebration, among other things, the Romans had huge parties. They decorated their houses with greens and gave each other gifts. Saturnalia began on December 17th and lasted about a week. It was followed on December 25th by the birth date of the pagan god Mithras, a celebration known as the birth of the unconquered sun.
Mithra was the sun god. And what did we talk about earlier in Paganism 101? Whenever the words the sun god leaves somebody's mouth, who are they talking about? Nimrod. They're talking about Nimrod. Saturn is the sun god. It's Nimrod all over again. Keep listening.
The origin of Christmas, so far birthday and so far Halloween. They are both pagan related. What is the origin of Christmas? I want one answer from the crowd. One answer. Who can tell me what is the origin of Christmas? No. Listen. There is a misconception, but billions and billions of people worldwide. Listen carefully and you will know in just time what Christmas is all about. The date of December 25th comes from Rome and was a celebration of the Italic god Saturn and the rebirth of the sun god. Listen carefully. It all refers to the sun, the gods, and so forth. It's the origin of Christmas now. This was done long before the birth of Jesus. Christmas. It was noted by the pre-Christian Romans and other pagans that daylight began to increase after December 22nd, when they assumed that the sun god died. These ancients believed that the sun god rose from the dead 3 days later as the newborn and venerable sun. Thus, they figured that to be the reason for increasing daylight, this was a cause for much wild excitement and celebration. This is Christmas now, how it began. Gift-giving and merriment filled the temples of ancient Rome as sacred priests of Saturn carried wreaths of evergreen boughs in procession. That's where the tree comes from originally. And you know what the tree signature is when I define it. In Germany, the evergreen tree. So we know what the Christmas was originally. You can tell me. I hope this is you're comprehending this. What is the origin of Christmas? Sun god, what do they believe? In Germany, the evergreen tree. What is the evergreen tree? Who knows what the evergreen tree is? The Christmas tree. Was used in worship and celebration of the Yule god. What is the Yule god? The Christmas god. That's what the Yule god is, the Christmas god to them, to these same people still. Also in observance of the resurrected sun god. The evergreen tree was a symbol of the essence of life and was regarded as a symbol in fertility worship. Are you all comprehending this? What was the evergreen tree? So what did they use it for? Which means, why would they place a tree in their homes? Or why would they worship the tree? Because they believe it provides life. It provides life. That's the essence of it. You know the Arzi in Lebanon? You know the Arzi in Lebanon? You know the flag, the Lebanese flag? Where a lot of Lebanese Muslims wear on their rings and chains? That is a symbol of paganism itself. And this tree is no different, exactly the same. It's a worship thing. Witches and other pagans regarded the red holly. What's the red holly? A red holly. When you see the tree, you see it decorated with what? Like a red balls and leaves coming out, extra leaves that they place on it. That red holly, the little red balls, you see that? Witches and other pagans regarded that red holly as a symbol, look at these students, as a symbol of the Queen of Heaven. How filthy is that? The white berries, this is the tree, right? We've got the tree now. Now we're looking at the red holly. We've got that. Now what else is on the tree? Besides the lights, even the light is a pagan belief. The lights that they put on it, and where you see in many houses exposed in the front, this is all witchcraft. The white berries of the mistletoe. What's the mistletoe? You're killing it tonight. You're on edge tonight, aren't you? The white berries of the mistletoe were believed. This is also hung on the Christmas tree. Christmas trees. The white berries of mistletoe were believed by pagans to represent droplets of the semen of the sun god. And they do believe that, as I mentioned, that they believe that if you stand underneath it and kiss your spouse, you will be connected for life. You will be connected with contact cement. You will be connected for life. That is their belief as well. Let us leave this chunk out, go to the bottom. The word Christmas is a combination of the words Christ and Miss. The word Miss means death and was coined originally by the Roman Catholic Church and belongs exclusively to the Church of Rome. The ritual of the Mass involves the death of Christ and the distribution of the host, a word taken from the Latin word hostile, meaning victim. A simple study of the tactics of the Roman Church reveals that in every case the Church absorbed the customs, traditions, and general paganism of every tribe, culture, and nation in their efforts to increase the number of people under their control. In other words, they created this in order to gather people. They did not care whether it's a Christian belief, they did not care if it's an authentic belief, a genuine ritual. All they wanted was crowds. That is what they mentioned. All they wanted was crowds. Because now Christmas, if you see the churches, it's jam-packed. Even though it's not their belief, because Christmas, even in the Bible, to the Christian belief, they believe that Jesus was born when? No. They don't believe it. That is a false interpretation from the priests. The Christian belief is, any priest will tell you this, the Christian belief that Jesus was born sometime in September. That's what they believe. But the followers of Christianity have been deceived and deceived and deceived with many, many, many false beliefs.
So where does that leave us, folks? Nobody is trying to hide what this thing is. It's in our scriptures. It's in a parallel reference for the pagan world. This Christ's Mass has nothing to do with the Messiah. Nothing. It's pagan. It's an annual ritual that the witches and pagans and druids and all of those people came together and they directed the worship of their people and anybody that they could get to this fallen angelic satanic sacrifice. And here we are still today.
I'm gonna leave it right there. Yeah. And there have been testimonies online of women, the people that were witches that confirmed that this is what they would do during the certain times of the year. One of the channels I listened to was Sid Roth and different individuals, and they told it was late, and they get a certain amount of power around about the same time, around Halloween, Christmas, and different ones. And so that's true. So I didn't, they want to bog you down, but just this would give you the different versions of who is Nimrod, who is Semiramis and Tammuz and all that, and give you different perspectives of it. Because some people don't know, and there's some people that go to church, and some people say, well, no, it don't mean that. Well, you can take it and flip it any kind of way, but my thing is just that when they say the spirit of Christmas, it kind of make you think there's actually a spirit around Christmas, and around Christmas you always see people that go on after the holiday. They're usually depressed. You got some people that get suicidal. You got some people that get broke. So, and they start get feeling down, and some people do. They get depressed. Some people, even as long as you come to church, but you still, because you start thinking about family members no longer here. And I used to celebrate. I used to get into it too, but and then I had to use a little wisdom when I would go to church. Like around Christmas time, I don't go to church, but I honor the scriptures, to my tithe and offerings, worship, praise. But that's at certain times, because I even seen in the church where I'm at that they whipped out the Christmas tree one time, and they had it for a whole week and 2 weeks. So, but that's why I had to wait till go after the second year, maybe 2 or 3 Sundays, and go back and be with the congregation, because I know some people are gonna stick with that, like they're gonna stick with Easter, and some people say and you see the version of the pagan origins of Easter that they tied it in. See, the original part was the way the Jewish people honored. There was certain things that they would do and teach their children that the pagan world learned off the pagan and adopted into Christianity, because they learned it from the way the Jewish people do that, like with the symbolic of the egg and things like that. Certain things you do in the Jewish household that I think I believe that's one thing, is with the egg. One thing, when you hide something, put it in a way, and they have the little kids go find, and what you, and that's one of the things I do know, because they do that something similar among the Jewish religion. So yeah, they done, and that's what they do around Easter. So they have the little children go out and get colored eggs and go in the yard and dig up where they can find the eggs, and then you see what the eggs represent. But it's something. It's something. They took a little bit of this and a little bit of that in the ancient Christian world, and they adopted to it. And I do believe that when you sit back and really think about that. So but I just want to give my version of Tammuz and Semiramis and show how real this thing is. You got different people got their versions of it, and what's the real interpretation of it from the Bible. And really, it's just watching and going a different perspective and doing some deep research, even researching yourself on a topic like that. Because that's really, you can even look at the images and you can see something, even with the images. Like, you got the paintings, see, that's Queen Mother, that's Nimrod, that's Tammuz and Tammuz and Semiramis. It's the symbolism of it. But some people would think that would be Jesus and Mary. Another version of it. But it's even put in the statute. Tammuz. Here's some pictures of it. So you can see the relics at that time. So people can see that there were evidence that this stuff did happen, and they carve it in stone. This is real stone. In the ancient world, that they got these stones. And these ancient statues of the different gods and stuff. This was practicing sexuality in stone. They had expression sexuality in stone. I gotta be careful with this. But yeah, they was practicing sexuality. They put this in stone. This stuff was go back thousands of years. This sexuality thing. And basically, during that time, they pretty much tell in stone that they would have sex in the temple. So they even carved it in the stone what they was doing during that time. Doing all these sexual positions we see today. It's pretty graphic, man. Some of these, even in the statues, it's pretty graphic. But yeah, I couldn't show you too many pictures. It was pretty graphic. They were doing some stuff that people doing today. Put it that way. But this is the picture from Babylon. This is how they introduce ancient music. Yeah, I'm going to here and cut this video, but I just wanted to show you, yeah, this stuff is dealing with sexuality, all kinds of stuff, and they really told the story in the stone. They telling you the story right in the stone. Ancient relics is even telling you. You can check this online. Show you pictures of Nimrod, statues of what he describing him, what he looked like. But that's just you. But alright then, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this segment. But yeah, use your own judgment when it comes to that. This is another statue, but use your own judgment and find out for yourself. And I'm just here to show and educate, pretty much. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Share it with somebody. And this is here the versions of it. Now you can see the actual paintings, and listen to different authors on it. Alright then, you guys have a good one. And yeah, this is deep. You could show you. I hope I don't get no copyright strikes on it, but just to give you different versions of it. I try not to play everybody's video, just get a cut version here for a version here. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, have a blessed one, and I'll see you on the next video and see what good topic we can come up next. Take care.